Welcome back to Brick City. It's your boy Brick Flair, back in the building, back in the mix. Today, I just wanted to try a different type of video. It's going to be a quick one. It's called Road to the Title. This is going to be a new series where I'm going to pick a fighter or two fighters that have just fought on last week's card and discuss a realistic path for them to fight for the 10 pounds of gold, Sweet Charlotte, the UFC World Championship. To be the man, you got to beat the man. So let's get into the fighter that we're going to be discussing today, Dan the Hangman Hooker. Dan Hooker, as we've seen, just come off a great win against Mateusz Gamrot. He looked great, honestly. I think that's the best Dan Hooker's ever looked in his career. He showed improved movement in the first round. You know, he was switching stances a lot. He showed a lot more patience and ability to defend the takedowns. He was a lot more offensive, I thought, as well. Sort of picking up where he left off in the Jalen Turner fight when he won that fight as well. So, yeah, you got to commend Dan Hooker. You know, big time performance from him. The takedown defense he showed against Gamrot, I think, is huge because Gamrot, outside of Arman and Islam, probably among the best grapplers in the division. It's hard to get a good fight out of Gamrot because he's just so used to being a ball sniffer. But Dan Hooker managed to do that. So extra points to Dan Hooker for that one. Alrighty, now let's look at his road to the title. Now, I've just got the rankings here in front of me. Dan should be at a career-time best ranking of number 5 in the world now. He slides above Gamrot, who's number 5. Chandler is number 6. And then we've got Poirier at 4, Gaethje at 3, Charlie Olives at 2, Arman Tsarukyan at 1, and of course we've got Islam Makhachev as champion. Islam's going to be fighting Arman. Poirier's not going to take that fight because we've already seen that fight. He's probably going to be fighting Colby Covington, hopefully. Allegedly, that's what they're looking at. That leaves 2 options. Both of them are kick-ass fights, all action. Justin Gaethje or Charles Oliveira. Now, we could have the battle of the blonde-haired midlife crisis boys, Charles Oliveira and Dan Hooker. But for the 2 people that actually watched my last 2 videos, you already know what I want to see. It's Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. That is just chaos. It's absolute chaos. That is just... It's a bad motherfucker title fight, you know, or worthy fight, I should say. Hooker and Gaethje is a no-brainer for me. It's the match to make. Plug it straight into my veins for December. Yeah, that matchup will hit harder than whatever Howie Booth was snorting before he scored the Tai Tuivasa fight last night. Absolute mayhem. So, yeah, short path to the title, honestly, for Charles Oliveira. I think all he has to do is beat Gaethje, and then he's going to have to fight Arman or Islam. Both of those fights are nightmare matchups. If we're keeping it a stack, he's not going to beat either of those guys, but that is where Dan Hooker is going to get his title shot. Now, when it comes to the Gaethje and Hooker fight, I actually like Dan all day in that fight. We don't know how Gaethje's going to look when he comes back after getting sent to the deep, dark depths by Max Holloway. We've seen how Holloway dealt with Justin. He was able to keep him on the end of his punches and sort of control the fight that way. I think Dan Hooker can do that, but in a much bigger way. You know, he's a bigger guy. He's a longer guy. He'll make it smart enough and gritty enough, and I think he'll eke out the decision on 2 of the judges' scorecards. It should be a 3-round fight. If it is a 3-round fight, I'm taking Hooker. If it's a 5-round fight, I might have to take Gaethje. We've seen Dan slow down. You know, basically, the Poirier-Hooker fight was phenomenal, but Hooker was essentially a punching bag for the last 2 rounds of that fight, if we really, really want to just keep it honest. So there we go. Just a quick one today. Just wanted to get out just some thoughts. I think Hangman sort of earned the video. Not a lot of people picked him. I'm not going to pretend I picked him to beat Gamrot. I thought he was going to get taken down and just stifled to a bullshit, boring decision. But hey, we've got some action fighters back at the top of 155, and that makes me a happy man and fan. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.